Hi friends, my name is Dr. Marissa May. In this video, we'll be looking at a rational function, and let's just dig into some of the details that we see here. Our function we'll be working with is f of x equals x over x squared minus 9. And I want to start with the domain. So there are two rules for domain. One of them is that the denominator cannot equal 0. And that is where we're finding ourselves. And just a little side note, the other rule is that square roots must be greater than or equal to 0. So keep that one in your back pocket for another problem. But for this one, we're looking at the denominator and just saying it can't be 0. So I am literally going to take that denominator and I'm just going to say can't equal 0. And then I'm going to solve. Now, whether you want to do this by moving the 9 to the other side, or if you want to factor the left side as a difference of 2 squares, both of those are going to work for you. I'm just going to go ahead and move that 9 to the other side. However, when you take the square root here, I want you to be super careful because x could be 3 or it could be negative 3. And so that's my domain, is that x cannot be 3 and x cannot be negative 3. Those are our two things. Now, for the range, I always feel that range is best done with a graph. So I'm going to move over to our Desmos graphing calculator. I have a link for it down in the description for you. If you're taking any math class, I pray that that Desmos graphing calculator is bookmarked on your computer so that you can reference it often. So let's take a look. All right, we're going to type in our function here. You can put the f of x part in there or not. Either one will work. Desmos will know what to do. And looks something like that. Now, when I look at the graph, it's a little bit easier for me to see, oh yeah, it looks like I have all y values. And so I'm going to say that my range here is all real numbers. Now, if you want to write your all real numbers in words or you want to use it with interval notation, either one is fine, just depending on what your directions say. Just be mindful of that you check out your directions. Now, f of 4, this is where we're going to replace the x with a 4. Be sure that you replace the x on top and the x on the bottom with a 4. And so on the bottom, we'll have to do a little bit of arithmetic there. That gives me 16 minus 9. And so I know that f of 4 is 4/7. All right. Now, f of 2 plus h. Remember, when we had f of 4, that meant to replace the x with a 4. So in this case, we're going to replace x with 2 plus h. Let's see what that would look like. I've got f of 2 plus h. Now I'm going to replace the x on top with 2 plus h. And I'm going to replace the x on the bottom with 2 plus h. And then I just have to clean it up a little bit. I am going to go ahead and multiply out the denominator because I think I can find some common terms to go ahead and join together. So it looks like I'm going to get 2 plus h on top. And then on the bottom, it looks like I have h squared plus 4h minus 5. I could factor that if I wanted to. If I thought it would help me cancel anything on the top, I probably would do that. However, it does not going to help me in this problem, so I'm going to leave it just as it is. All right, let's take a look at a few more questions. So we want to know, is f of x odd, even, or neither? So odd would mean that when I substitute a negative x in for x, I get the same thing as if I just put a negative on the function. This is odd. Even would mean that if I substitute a negative x for x, then I get the same as the original. And then obviously neither would mean that none of those happen. So let's take a look at what happens here if I substitute a negative x into my function. On top, I'll replace the x with negative x. On the bottom, I replace the x with negative x. Notice I put it in parentheses because it's going to make a difference. So on top, got to keep that negative, but on the bottom, negative x times negative x, which is the same as negative x to the second, is going to give me x to the second minus 9. So I know that it's not even because this function is different than the original. So I know even is out. Now what I need to see is, okay, what happens if I put a negative on the function? Well, if I put a negative on the function, I put it on the top or the bottom, but not both. It looks like they're the same, and they are. And that means that we are odd here. Now, another way that you can test for odd even is odd has origin symmetry. O with O. Odd origin symmetry. Even has y-axis symmetry. So if you look back at that graph that we had been using with Desmos, you can see what kind of symmetry it has, and you can determine odd or even that way. For the next question, f of x, where is it increasing? We're going to have to go back to the graph for now. So let's take a look at that Desmos graph one more time. All right, here's our graph. As you can see, we are looking for where are the y values going up? And we have to look at this from the left side to the right side of the graph. So when I trail my eye with the graph, these y values are going down. Okay? These y values are going down. Remember, I have to go from left to right. These y values are going down. Okay? So I know that f of x is not increasing at all for this function. So we'll just say that it's not increasing here. All right, let's look at the next question. If g of x is x minus 4, then what is f of g of x? Well, this one we commonly call fog. Obviously, you can see where we get that from. And it just means f of g of x. It means we're going to replace the x in f with g of x. So if you look at your f of x function here, I'm going to replace the x on top with the x minus 4, that is g of x. And I'm going to replace the x on the denominator with the x minus 4 as well. Again, using those parentheses. And we're going to simplify. So I've got that x minus 4 on top. On the bottom, go ahead and multiply out that parentheses. And then we can combine the like terms so that we get x minus 4 over x squared minus 8x plus 25. And just like before, I'm not going to factor that or try to go any further if it's not going to simplify with the top. So this is my f of g of x. Now, our last question for this function asks us to go the other way. What is g of f of x? So that means we're going to take the f of x that we've been working with, and we're going to put it in place of x in the g of x. So we're going to take the x minus 4, and in place of that x, I'm going to put that rational function x over x squared minus 9 minus 4. See where the x was, I now put f of x. Definitely practice with these concepts until you feel really comfortable with them. Let me know if you have some questions. I'd be happy to help.